Welcome into Rapid Reaction. I'm Stephen Peak alongside Daniel Hager. Kentucky baseball season comes to a disappointing end here on this Sunday night, but it was a season in which they overachieved. We'll get into some of that in just a minute. Daniel, you covered one of Kentucky baseball's best seasons of all time. So just real quick, I guess, if you can, I know it's hard to sum it up. It just ended, just a few minutes ago. So if you can kind of just sum up this year and kind of what it means going forward for Kentucky.
Yeah, this was definitely a step in the right direction for this program, and it shows you what this thing can be in Lexington. Especially you see the final week of the Lexington Regional. They set the attendance record twice. First on, I guess it was Saturday night, the second on Monday night. Just a lot of good comes from this season. I guess this was really the first season that Mingione went all in on the transfer portal. You get Hunter Gilliam, guys like that. Jackson Gray made a huge impact. Ryder Giles was really good out of the pen. And so you're going to continue to see that from him. Mingione was already working in the portal. I can't think of the guy's name that they got, but they did get a big name already in the season just now ended. It seems like the fan base has kind of finally come around to this is an enjoyable sport to watch. Mingione is an enjoyable coach to get behind. And baseball can be really fun in Lexington if they get behind it. But yeah, I think it was a great season, a lot of great moments. Things haven't really been the best since 2017. And Mingione entered this season. I know we talked about it like before the season even started that we just didn't know how things were going to go. We didn't know if he'd be on the chopping block by midway through the season. And when people were expecting him, they were expecting the rumors of him being fired or him to be fired. They won, was it 23 or 24? Yeah. There was so much good to come from this season. They won the 23 or 24. I know they got swept in the Super Regional by LSU, but they did go down there and they beat LSU. And then, they totally could have taken that series from them.
It's only the second time, that Kentucky's made it that far.
Yeah,
And also, I think there's something to be said about the way they were able to get out of regionals. Winning 3 straight games in 2 days. So, tons of positives. But I want to go back to what you said about Kentucky fans getting on board. We talked about that kind of all year, and it was around the Georgia game where I felt like fans were getting kind of, hey, what's going on with Kentucky baseball? And they dropped a couple tough ones there. Here's what made me mad on last night. I can't believe that all happened yesterday. It's been a long 2 days.
It's been such a long 2 days. Oh, my God.
I'm telling you, man, I can't imagine having to cover the game down there in Baton Rouge. I follow a lot of the reporters, and they're just all day. You're thinking that the game's going to be over with at 8. I'm going to hit out to Baton Rouge and just enjoy the town maybe for the rest of the night. That's not what they did. So here's the thing, Daniel. Here's what made me mad. Look, LSU is the better team. Was there an advantage to playing at night? Maybe there was. Does it really matter? LSU won by a couple touchdowns. They were clearly the better team. LSU is probably going to go. They're the favorite to win it all at this point, right? They look like Wake Forest looked pretty darn good today too, putting up 22 runs on Alabama. LSU is one of the best teams in college baseball. They didn't need any help. I tell you what, that kid that threw last night for them, we're going to watch him in the big leagues. He was dealing. Kentucky couldn't get anything going offensively. I think they could have gotten that game in last night, Daniel, and here's why it frustrates me. It has nothing to do really with the outcome of the game. It's that Kentucky fans were on board. There were watch parties. There were people. I have people who text me all the time that are big-time Kentucky basketball and football fans. They didn't go to school at Kentucky. They don't really care about any of the other sports, but they were tuning in yesterday at 3:00. And then I asked them around 10 o'clock, hey, you getting ready to watch the game? No, man, I gave up on that. So what I'm saying is that for Kentucky, this was huge. This was a free advertisement, this game being on TV. I got it over my shoulder here. I got the other games pulled up. Kentucky being on TV and Kentucky fans, you already have a huge fan base because of basketball, but then you don't have, 7,000 is what sells out KPP, right? Yeah. They hit that a couple times the last 2 games, and you feel like this momentum was just starting to pick up for this program. I thought that was so Bush League. If Mingione took the high road, And that's, of course, what we expect. He's a real life walking, talking Ted Lasso. Like, of course, he took the high road. I wanted him to fight back. I wanted him to be like, hey, what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and credit to a lot of the LSU fans because they stuck it out. But just an absolute disaster all the way around, all day yesterday. When you're seeing these photos coming in from Baton Rouge at about 5-6 o'clock, and it has been sunny the entire time, it's ridiculous, man. I don't know who made the decision, and I don't know if Mingione had to agree to it, and if he wanted to agree to it. I know Matt sent out a tweet that this was not something Kentucky wanted to do.
Oh, no.
And let's just try to keep this mic up for a second. But it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating as somebody who wants to see Kentucky baseball kind of take that next step. And not that this completely ruins it. I mean, the overall success of the team and everything. But that was just a moment right there where you had tens of thousands of new fans who were tuning in at 3 p.m. And I'm telling you, a lot of them didn't stick around, which maybe that was a good thing, the way the game ended up going. But I don't know that you got a lot of them back today. That's why I'm frustrated about it. You know, I know that is it Jay Johnson? Is that his name? Yeah. Okay, I tweeted it all day yesterday, and as I went to say it, I was like, I don't even know if that's true. But you know, he follows that the Nick Saban playbook of looking at the weather. How is the weather going to affect the game? And it's just like, can we just play the game's at 3? Like I can't imagine a scenario where Kentucky has a noon kickoff, against Vanderbilt. They're like, well, the weather, we just push this thing back to 7. I mean, it's insane. I just can't believe that they were allowed to do that. I understand you don't want to lose your starters. But what did you think?
Yeah, I wanted to know what went into that for them to be able to do that. Because then that brings the attention to, like, just think we're having a big game at Rep Arena, and Cal's not ready for it, or he just doesn't want something to happen, and he's like, guys, you know what? I think the pipes are going to burst at some point. They've been leaky all pregame. You know, I just don't want to take that risk of us starting this game and the pipes bursting, and then we have to take a 30-minute break. You know what? Let's just keep pushing it back. And I don't understand how college baseball that kills that. They've been wanting to grow the sport for so long. Same with Major League Baseball, and that's what they've done with the pitch clock. They've sped that up. They're beginning the players better. But when you promise a Saturday 3 o'clock first pitch, right in the middle of the day, you can go out, eat whatever, late lunch, early dinner, get together with friends, have a beer, whatever, and that game doesn't start until 10 o'clock at night. It's like, come on. But,
no, and especially the way it played out. It played out probably the worst that they could have expected it, to delay it for 5 hours, and then when you go to play, it starts raining.
Yeah,
and it's just like it was a packed play. KS Bar was packed, full of Kentucky fans ready to watch that game, and there were more coming in. That was going to resemble a Saturday football atmosphere, and you don't get that for the other sports, and you finally did, and then this bullshit took that away. It was bullshit. I don't know who got to be in charge of that decision. And I know Kentucky baseball is going to take the high road in this, of course. And at the end of the day, that's probably what you want. It's not that serious. We all know that LSU is the better team. You were hoping Kentucky could still 2 of 3. And they had a chance to today. Got a 1-0 to lead. I'm going to move on, Pat. I could sit here and just talk to you about that for 20 minutes. So I got to move on. But we can talk about how they got screwed again tonight if we want to. We'll go to the 7th inning of a 5-3 game. I didn't get a good look at that replay. Kind of hard to tell if any chalk came up on the line drive down the left field line that would have almost certainly tied the game. They may have gotten that call right. I'm assuming. Did they look at it? I mean, how do you look at it? Like, you can't. The runner was going to score from first, so it's almost like even if you look at it and you tell me that you're going to overturn it, you can't give me that run from first anyway. So, what did you get any info on that?
Yeah, it's like ESPN didn't really get a good look at it either because they had 3 different angles, and all 3 of them cut off where the ball hit. It was right in the top corner, so you couldn't really see what happened. But if you did look, it did look a little left. It looked like a little bit of dirt might have popped up, but I mean, it's an absolutely brutal break. And then full count, runners on first and
That's
third.
the next one.
And you see what happened. I mean, going back and looking at it, it's just horrible. It was, I mean, it was a problem all night. And LSU kind of faces
robots.
There were a
We need
few
robots, Daniel.
There were a few.
Baseball needs robot umpires.
Yeah, there were a few brutal LSU ones, but there were definitely more Kentucky bad breaks, and that one was one of the worst I've seen all season. It just seems like this umpire is playing to the crowd. He did that all.
Yeah.
He did that all game. You know, Church took that ball. Well, he took the strike, and the ump sat there. He sat there, and then he did the slow punch out. And it's like, you know, when you get the umpires doing theatrics, you turn into Doug Shows on the hardwood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Just have it.
Yeah, their block charge call, when they like to call the charge for the home team, that's the ring him up strike 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, look, I'm not saying I would be any better behind the plate. It's a tough job.
Oh yeah,
calling balls strikes for sure. But man, that was just a brutal one, and it's just like it was at the knees, but it looked to be a little bit inside. And I think that's being generous. And it's just a tough break. The tougher break, though, because that just would have loaded the bases. There's still 2 outs. LSU could still have gotten out of the inning. The tougher one is just, you know, you talk about baseball being a game of inches. Every sport kind of is, in a way. But it sucks that just a couple inches to the right, and Kentucky's back in that ball game. You got a new game, and you got the go-ahead run at second base.
Yeah, it's just...
It didn't happen. LSU tacked on more runs, and they end up outscoring Kentucky, was it 22-3 over the course of 2 games?
Yeah.
They're really good. And you know, you can't let that take away from what Coach Mingione and what Kentucky baseball did this year. And you summed it up, I think, perfectly. This was a season kind of going in that I mean, Mingione's seat was not cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know, and you know what? And I don't know. We were at the post game after they won the regional, and you can see how much it means to him.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how much it meant to Mitch Barnhart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know this, but it just the emotions that were in the room. Mitch Barnhart was standing right next to me, and he was like fighting back tears for the entire time. You can tell he really likes Nick Mingione, and if he didn't have a successful season this year, or if he had another lackluster year, there was going to be a tough decision that Mitch was going to have to make that he really didn't want to have to make.
Mm-hmm. And
credit to these players and to Coach Mingione. You know, maybe a couple coaching mistakes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go into that just a little bit. Overall, I mean, you can't really. I'm not going to hate on them too much. This is a team that probably like overachieved, but tonight there were a couple. If we want to play like, you know, Monday morning quarterback, maybe throwing to one of the better hitters probably wasn't a wise decision.
It was kind of the 9th inning was a parallel. You go right back to that last game in Baton Rouge. You remember Tommy White. Well, I don't know. They intentionally walked Cruz to get to White, and White got plunked, and they scored the run. And then tonight they had a base open for Dylan Cruz. Mm-hmm. They did not intentionally walk him, and he slaps a 2-run double. I mean, it's just tough in that situation, you know. You just got to think back if Minge is looking at that, like, that came back to backfire. What if we just go ahead and pitch to this guy? Right. But it's just there's so many things that happen in the game of baseball. You know, you can't hearken on – like Dylan Cruz is the number 1 pick in the MLB draft for a reason.
Yeah.
Tommy White is also one of the best players in college baseball for a reason. It's kind of like pick your poison – but in that point in the game, you know, you've got to trust your guys. Mingione really trusts his guys. And that's kind of what I'll wrap up my thoughts on Mingione. I say he's the carbon copy of what Mitch Barnhart wants in a coach. And that's why they get along together so well. You know, when Mingione called into KSR the other day, he kind of had that point of, we are Kentucky. Why are we competing with each other? You know, he kind of made that parallel to, you know, the whole football school thing and
right.
Cal and Stoops' mini rivalry. And Mingione kind of set that record. He was like, it's nice to see everybody on the same point. You know, Cal got on Twitter and congratulated the baseball team. Stoops got on Twitter and congratulated the football team or the baseball team. And Minge was just like kind of hearkening on why can't this be everything? and you have to know that made Barnhart like all nice and fuzzy in his bubble,
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a better guy to lead this team than Nick Mingione. Dealing with him all season long, being at every single game, whether it was freezing cold outside or 11 o'clock at night or a Saturday afternoon, dealing with him has been a delight all season. And really, if you want to go ahead and look forward to next season, all the young talent that they've got coming back. Devin Burks is back. Emilian Peachray is back. Mason Moore is back and will be a starter next season. He'll probably be a Friday night starter. Him and Travis Smith, who really came on at the end of the season after turning.
I was going to say, were you surprised that they didn't get to use him?
Yeah, he struggled in the Lexington regional, but
yeah,
I thought that they would go with him yesterday, but they went with Lee. That's, it is what it is. Lee has been their best pitcher all season and got teed off on 5 times. You just never know what's going to happen in the games. And LSU is that damn good, and they're gonna mash if they want to mash. And it is what it is. LSU is the better team. Kentucky had a great ride, and it's just sad to see it over, but it was an awesome season.
Yeah, and it seemed to be over so quick. Like you had a whole day of delays, and then you have the game going late last night, and the next thing you know, like less than 24 hours later, the whole thing's over. So but again, an incredible season for Kentucky baseball. I've been following Kentucky baseball since like 2007. Do you remember we talked about this? Josh Selby, Ryan Strebe, those guys.
Very first memories of going to the Cliff with my dad and seeing those teams, and it's been a ride, and it's good to see that program in a much better state than it's been in recent memory. And the future is bright, I believe, in Lexington if everyone can get behind it.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That atmosphere that we saw during the regionals, that's got to carry over. It's fun. College baseball's fun. This tournament is fun. It's random. It's just like the NCAA tournament can be random. I would love it if Kentucky can have a good baseball team year in and year out and are competing for things year in and year out.
Yeah.
They have the park to do it. They've invested in it. Let's run it back next year. Daniel, what do you think?
Yep. Run it back. Let's be right back here next year, and then maybe, get a little breakthrough. Young guys will be a year older. They'll have postseason experience. Minge will go right after that transfer portal and bring in some experienced guys. So I don't see why they can't do it if they don't go all in.
That'd be nice. Dude, we were making our plans just in case Kentucky was able to pull this super regional out, and I think that's kind of unfortunate. They got a bad draw.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
Yeah,
so. It is what it is. LSU is one of the best teams in the country. I fully expect them to be one of the last teams remaining. Maybe them and Wake Forest would be. Yeah. I'd like to see what that matchup would look like. But until next season, and that's it, Dane. That's like all of our coverage from Kentucky sports the rest of the year. You're on our last rapid reaction. We've been doing these since August.
Yeah.
And this is like the last one until we get going with football again.
Yeah. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Daniel, where can fans find your work if they want to? I mean, you were in the weeds with Kentucky baseball all year, and I imagine that with the relationships and everything you were able to build through the team, you're gonna be a good source to follow. Just tell people where they can do that.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Daniel Hager KSR, and then find me on the website under Daniel Hager. I guess now I'll be pivoting into high school football and just some off-season coverage. So. Excited to get through the rest of the summer and then get to football season in the fall.
Yep, I can't wait. We actually have. I'll change this out probably. Right now we have the football background on. Right now, I just noticed.
Oh yeah, I just realized that.
Yeah, we're getting excited, getting ready for September, and that's the next time we will see you guys with a rapid reaction. Be sure to subscribe. Let's get to 25,000. We got to 20,000 just a few weeks ago, Daniel. Let's go ahead and get to 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. Let's shoot for the moon. Let's see how high we can get this thing. We'll see you guys then. This has been a fun year of rapid reactions, of getting to produce them, getting to be on here occasionally, and I can't wait to run it back next season. We'll see you then.
Yep.
Didn't know how to wrap that up, Daniel. Didn't know how to do it. Just kept